Welcome to the Global Bloomsday reading from the Verbal Arts Centre in Derry, Londonderry. We will be reading pages 592 to 629 from this beautiful building nestling on our city's ancient and historic walls in this our culture year. We hope to see many of you here in our city this year for our various wonderful cultural events. In the meantime, here with our segment of James Joyce's Ulysses is the editor of our local newspaper, the Derry journalist Martin McGinley, myself, Mayor Martin Riley, and concluding our contribution is columnist and broadcaster Anita Robinson. Over to you, Martin, to commence.
Onward to the Dead Sea they tramped to drink, unslaked them with horrible gulpings, the salt, somnolent, inexhaustible flood. And the equine portent grows again, magnified in the deserted heavens, nay to heaven's own magnitude, till it looms vast over the house of Virgo. And lo, wonder of metempsychosis, it is she, the everlasting bride, harbinger of the day star, the bride ever virgin. It is she, Martha, the lost one, Millicent, the young, the dear, the radiant. How serene does she now arise, a queen among the Pleiades, in the penultimate ante-Lucan hour, shod in sandals of bright gold, coiffed with a veil of, what do you call it, gossamer. It floats, it flows about her star-born flesh, and loose it streams, emerald, sapphire, mauve, and heliotrope, sustained on currents of cold interstellar wind, winding, coiling, simply swirling, writhing in the skies a mysterious writing, till after a myriad metamorphoses of symbol, it blazes, Alpha, a ruby and triangled sign upon the forehead of Taurus. Francis was reminding Stephen of years before when they'd been at school together on Conmee's time. He asked about Glaucon, Alcibiades, Pisistratus. Where were they now? Neither knew. You have spoken of the past and its phantoms, Stephen said. Why think of them? If I call them into life across the waters of Lethe, will not the poor ghosts troop to my call? Who supposes it? I, Bus Daphnomenus, bullock befriending bard, am lord and giver of their life. He encircled his gadding hair with a coronal of vine leaves, smiling at Vincent. That answer in those leaves, Vincent said to him, will adorn you more fitly when something more, and greatly more, than a capful of light odes can call your genius father. All who wish you well hope this for you. All desire to see you bring forth the work you meditate. I heartily wish you may not fail them. Oh no, Vincent, Lenehan said, laying a hand on the shoulder near him. Have no fear. He could not leave his mother an orphan. The young man's face grew dark. All could see how hard it was for him to be reminded of his promise and of his recent loss. He would have withdrawn from the feast had not the noise of voices allayed the smart. Madden had lost 5 drachmas on Sceptre for a whim of the rider's name. Lenehan as much more. He told them of the race. The flag fell and whoop off scamper. The mare ran out freshly with O'Madden up. She was leading the field. All hearts were beating. Even Phyllis could not contain herself. She waved her scarf and cried, Huzzah! Sceptre wins! But in the straight on the run home, when all were in close order, the dark horse, Throwaway, drew level, reached, outstripped her. All was lost now. Phyllis was silent. Her eyes were sad anemones. Juno, she cried, I am undone. But her lover consoled her and brought her a bright casket of gold in which lay some oval sugar plums, which he partook. A tear fell, one only. A whacking fine whip, said Lenehan as W. Lane. 4 winners yesterday and 3 today. What riders like him? Mount him on the camel or the boisterous buffalo. The victory in a hack canter is still his. But let us bear it as was the ancient wont. Mercy on the luckless. Poor Sceptre, he said with a light sigh. She is not the filly that she was. Never by this hand shall we behold such another. By gad, sir, a queen of them. You remember her, Vincent? I wish you could have seen my queen today, Vincent said. How young she was and radiant. Lalage were scarce fair beside her, in her yellow shoes and frock of muslin. I don't know the right name of it. The chestnuts that shaded us were in bloom. The air drooped with their persuasive odour and with pollen floating by us. In the sunny patches one might easily have cooked on a stone. A batch of those buns with corn fruit in them that Perry Plaponymus sells in his booth near the bridge. But she had not for her teeth but the arm with which I held her. and in that she nibbled mischievously when I pressed too close. A week ago she lay ill 4 days on the couch, but today she was free, blithe, mocked at peril. She is more taking than her posies too. Mad romp that she is, she had pulled her full as we reclined together. And in your ear, my friend, you will not think who met us as we left the field. Conmee himself. He was walking by the hedge reading, I think, a brevier book with, I doubt not, a witty letter in it from Glycera or Chloe to keep the page. The sweet creature turned all colours in her confusion, feigning to reprove a slight disorder in her dress. A slip of underwood clung there, for the very trees adore her. When Conmee had passed, he glanced at her lovely echo in the little mirror she carries. But he had been kind. In going by, he had blessed us. The gods too are ever kind, Lenehan said. If I had poor luck with Bass's mare, perhaps this draught of his may serve me more propensely. He was laying his hand upon a wine jar. Malachy saw it and withheld his act, pointing to the stranger and to the scarlet label. Warily, Malachy whispered, preserve the druid's silence. His soul is far away. It is as painful, perhaps, to be awakened from a vision as to be born. Any object intensely regarded may be a gate of access to the incorruptible aim of the gods. Do you not think it, Stephen? Theosophus told me so, Stephen answered, whom in a previous existence Egyptian priests initiated into the mysteries of karmic law. The lords of the moon, Theosophus told me, an orange fiery shipload from planet Alpha of the lunar chain, would not assume the etheric doubles, and these were therefore incarnated by the ruby-coloured egos from the second constellation. However, as a matter of fact, though, the preposterous surmise about him being in some description of a doldrums or other, or mesmerised, which was entirely due to a misconception of the shallowest character, was not the case at all. The individual whose visual organs, while the above was going on, were at this juncture commencing to exhibit symptoms of animation, was as astute, if not astuter, than any man living, and anybody that conjectured the contrary would have found themselves pretty speedily in the wrong shop. During the past 4 minutes or thereabouts, he'd been staring hard at a certain amount of number 1 Bass, bottled by Messrs. Bass and Co. at Burton-on-Trent, which happened to be situated amongst a lot of others right opposite to where he was, and which was certainly calculated to attract anyone's remark on account of its scarlet appearance. He was simply and solely, as it subsequently transpired for reasons best known to himself, which put a quite an altogether different complexion to the proceedings, after the moments before's observations about boyhood days in the turf, recollecting 2 or 3 private transactions of his own, which the other 2 were as mutually innocent of as the babe unborn. Eventually, however, both their eyes met, and as soon as it began to dawn on him that the other was endeavouring to help himself to the thing, he involuntarily determined to help himself, and so he accordingly took hold of the medium-sized glass recipient which contained the fluid sought after, and made a capacious hole in it by pouring a lot of it out, with also at the same time, however, a considerable degree of attentiveness in order not to upset any of the beer that was in it about the place. The debate which ensued was in its scope and progress an epitome of the course of life. Neither place nor counsel was lacking in dignity. The debaters were the keenest in the land, the theme they were engaged on, the loftiest and most vital. The high hall of Horn's house had never beheld an assembly so representative and so varied, nor had the old rafters of that establishment ever listened to a language so encyclopedic. A gallant scene in truth it made. Crothers was there at the foot of the table in a striking Highland garb, his face glowing from the briny airs of the Mull of Galloway. There, too, opposite to him, was Lynch, whose countenance bore already the stigmata of early depravity and premature wisdom. Next, the Scotchman was the place assigned to Costello, the eccentric, while at his side was seated in stolid repose the squat form of Madden. The chair of the resident indeed stood vacant before the hearth, but on either flank of it the figure of Bannon, in explorer's kit of tweed shorts and salted cowhide brogues, contrasted sharply with the primrose elegance and town-bred manners of Malachy Roland St. John Mulligan. Lastly, at the head of the board was the young poet, who found a refuge from his labours of pedagogy and metaphysical inquisition in the convivial atmosphere of Socratic discussion. while to right and left of him were accommodated the flippant prognosticator fresh from the hippodrome, and that vigilant wanderer, soiled by the dust of travel and combat, and stained by the mire of an indelible dishonour, but from whose steadfast and constant heart no lure or peril or threat or degradation could ever efface the image of that voluptuous loveliness which the inspired pencil Lafayette has limned for ages yet to come. It had better be stated here and now at the outset that the perverted transcendentalism to which Mr. Stephen Dellis's his contentions would appear to prove him pretty badly addicted, runs directly counter to accepted scientific methods. Science, it cannot be too often repeated, deals with tangible phenomena. The man of science, like the man on the street, has to face hard-headed facts that cannot be blinked and explain them as best he can. There may be, it is true, some questions which science cannot answer at present, such as the first problem submitted by Mr. L. Bloom, Pub Can, regarding the future determination of sex. Must we accept the view of Empedocles of Trinacria that the right ovary, the postmenstrual period, assert others, is responsible for the birth of males? Or are the two long-neglected spermatozoa or nemasperms the differentiating factors? Or is it, as most embryologists incline to opine, such as Culpeper, Baranzani, Blumenbach, Lusk, Hertwig, Leopold and Valenti, a mixture of both? This would be tantamount to a cooperation, one of nature's favourite devices, between the nisus formativus of the nemasperm on the one hand, and on the other a happily chosen position, coitus felix, of the passive element. The other problem raised by the same inquirer is scarcely less vital: infant mortality. It is interesting because, as he pertinently remarks, we are all born in the same way, but we all die in different ways. Mr. M. Mulligan, High Jet Huge Dog, blames the sanitary conditions in which our grey-lunged citizens contract adenoids, pulmonary complaints, etc., by inhaling the bacteria which lurk in dust. These factors, he alleged, and the revolting spectacles offered by our streets, hideous publicity posters, religious ministers of all denominations, mutilated soldiers and sailors, exposed scorbutic car drivers, the suspended carcasses of dead animals, paranoid bachelors and unfructified duennas. These, he said, were accountable for any and every falling off in the calibre of the race. Calipedia, he prophesied, would soon be generally adopted, and all the graces of life, genuinely good music, agreeable literature, light philosophy, instructive pictures, plaster cast reproductions of the classical statues such as Venus and Apollo, artistic coloured photographs of prize babies. All these little attentions would enable ladies who are in a particular condition to pass the intervening months in a most enjoyable manner. Mr. J. Crothers, disc back, attributes some of these demises to abdominal trauma in the case of women workers subjected to heavy labours in the workshop and to marital discipline in the home. But by far the vast majority to neglect, private or official, culminating in the exposure of newborn infants, the practice of criminal abortion, or in the atrocious crime of infanticide. Although the former, we are thinking of neglect, is undoubtedly only too true, the case he states of nurses forgetting to count the sponges in the peritoneal cavity is too rare to be normative. In fact, when one comes to look into it, the wonder is that so many pregnancies and deliveries go off so well as they do, all things considered, and in spite of our human shortcomings, which often balk nature and her intentions. An ingenious suggestion is that thrown out by Mr. V. Lynch, back Erith, that both natality and mortality, as well as all the other phenomena of evolution, tidal movements, lunar phases, blood temperatures, diseases in general, everything in fine in nature's vast workshop, from the extinction of some remote sun to the blossoming of one of the countless flowers which beautify our public parks, is subject to a law of numeration as yet unascertained. Still, the plain, straightforward question, why a child of normally healthy parents, and seemingly a healthy child and properly looked after, succumbs unaccountably in early childhood, though other children of the same marriage do not, must certainly, in the poet's words, to give us pause. Nature, we may rest assured, has her own good and cogent reasons for whatever she does, and in all probability such deaths are due to some law of anticipation, by which organisms in which morbid germs have taken up their residence, Modern science has conclusively shown that only the plasmic substance can be said to be immortal, tend to disappear at an increasingly earlier stage of development, an arrangement which, though productive of pain to some of our feelings, notably the maternal, is nevertheless, some of us think, in the long run beneficial to the race in general and securing thereby survival of the fittest. Mr. S. Dedalus did remark, or should it be called an interruption, that an omnivorous being which can masticate, deglute, digest, and apparently pass through the ordinary channel with pluperfect imperturbability such multifarious elements as queeness females emaciated by parturition, corpulent professional gentlemen, not to mention of jaundiced politicians and chlorotic nuns, might possibly find gastric relief in an instant collation of staggering bob, reveals as naught else could, and in a very unsavoury light, the tendency above alluded to. For the enlightenment of those who are not so intimately acquainted with the minutiae of municipal abattoir as this morbid-minded aesthete and embroiled philosopher, who for all his overweening bumptiousness in things scientific can scarcely distinguish an acid from an alkali, prides himself in being, it should perhaps be stated that staggering bob, in the vile parlance of our lower class licensed victuallers, signifies the cookable and eatable flesh of a calf newly dropped from its mother. In a recent public controversy with Mr. L. Bloom, pub calf, which took place in the Commons Hall of the National Maternity Hospital, 29, 30 and 31 Hollis Street, of which, as is well known, Dr. A. Horn, lice in the FKQCPI, is the able and popular master. He is reported by eyewitnesses as having stated that once a woman has let the cat into the bag, an aesthetic allusion presumably to one of the most complicated and marvellous of all nature's processes, the act of sexual congress, she must let it out again or give it life, as he phrased it, to save her own. At the risk of her own, was the telling rejoinder of his interlocutor, nonetheless effective for the moderate and measured tone in which it was delivered. Meanwhile, the skill and patience of the physician had brought about a happy accouchement. It had been a weary while both for patient and doctor. All that surgical skill could do was done, and the brave woman had manfully helped. She had fought the good fight, and now she was very, very happy. Those who have passed on, those who have gone before, are happy too, as they gaze down and smile upon the touching scene. Reverently look at her as she reclines there with the mother light in her eyes, that longing hunger for baby fingers, a pretty sight it is to see, in the first bloom of her new motherhood, breathing a silent prayer of thanksgiving to one above, the universal husband. And as her loving eyes behold her babe, she wishes only one blessing more, to have her dear Dodie there with her to share her joy, to lay in his arms that mite of God's clay, the fruit of their lawful embraces. He is older now, you and I may whisper it, and a trifle stooped in the shoulders, yet in the whirligig of years a grave dignity has come to the conscientious second accountant of the Ulster Bank, College Green Branch. O Dodie, loved one of old, faithful life mate now, it may never be again that far-off time of the roses. With the old shake of her pretty head she recalls those days. God, how beautiful now across the mist of years. But their children are grouped in her imagination about the bedside, hers and his, Charlie, Mary Alice, Frederick Albert, if he had lived, Mamie, Budgie, Victoria Francis, Tom, Violet, Constant Louisa, darling little Bobsy, called after our famous hero of the South African War, Lord Bobbs of Waterford and Kandahar. And now this last pledge of their union, a Purefoy, if ever there was one, with the true Purefoy nose. Young hopeful will be christened Mortimer Edward, after the influential third cousin of Mr. Purefoy in the Treasury Remembrancer's Office, Dublin Castle. And so time wags on, but Father Cronian has dealt lightly here. No, let no sigh break from that bosom, dear gentle Mina. And Dodie, knock the ashes from your pipe. The seasoned briar you still fancy when the curfew rings for you, maybe at the distant day. And doubt the light whereby you read in the sacred book, for the oil too has run low. And so with a tranquil heart to bed, to rest. He knows and will call in his own good time. You too have fought the good fight and played loyally your man's part. Sir, to you my hand. Well done, thou good and faithful servant.
There are sins, or let us call them as the world calls them, evil memories, which are hidden away by man in the darkest places of the heart, but they abide there and wait. He may suffer their memory to grow dim, let them be as though they had not been, and all but persuade himself that they were not, or at least were otherwise. Yet a chance word will call them forth suddenly, and they will rise up to comfort him in the most various circumstances. A vision or a dream, or a white tremble and harp soothe the senses, or amid the cool silver tranquillity of the evening, or at the feast at midnight when he is now filled with wine. Not to insult over him will the vision come as over one that lies under her wrath, not for vengeance to cut him off from the living, but shrouded in the piteous vesture of the past, silent, remote, reproachful. The stranger still regarded on the face before him a slow recession of that false calm there, imposed as it seemed by habit or some studied trick, upon words so embittered as to accuse in their speaker an unhealthiness, a flair for the cruder things of life. A scene disengages itself in the observer's memory, evoked it would seem by a word of so natural a homeliness, as if those days were really present there, as some thought, with their immediate pleasures. A shaven space of lawn, one soft May evening, the well-remembered grove of lilacs at Roundtown, purple and white, fragrant, slender spectres of the game, but with much real interest in the pellets as they run slowly forward over the sward or collay and stop, one by its fellow with a brief alert shock. And yonder about that grey urn where the water moves at times in thoughtful irrigation, you saw another as fragrant sisterhood, flowy, atta, tiny, and their darker friend with I know not what of arresting in her pose then, Our Lady of the Cherries, a comely brace of them pendant from an ear, bringing out the foreign warmth of the skin so daintily against the cool ardent fruit. A lad of 4 or 5 in Linwoodsie, blossom time, but there will be cheer in the kindly heart when ere long the bowls are gathered and hutched, is standing on the urn secured by that circle of girlish fond hands. He frowns a little, just as this young man does now, with a perhaps too conscious enjoyment of danger, but must needs glance at whiles towards where his mother watches from the piazza, giving upon the flower close with a faint shadow of remoteness or of reproach, a la Grinch, in her glad look. Mark this, father, and remember, the end comes suddenly. Enter that antechamber of birth, where the studious are assembled, and note their faces. Nothing, as it seems, there of rash or violent. Quietude of custody, rather befitting their station in that house. The vigilant watch of shepherds and of angels about a crib in Bethlehem of Judea long ago. But as before, the lightning serried storm clouds, heavy with preponderant excess of moisture, in swollen masses turgidly descended, compass earth and sky in one vast slumber, impending upon parched field and drowsy oxen, and blighted growth of shrub and verdure, till in an instant a flash raised their centres, and with the reverberation of the thunder the cloudburst pours its torrent. So, and not otherwise, was the transformation, violent and instantaneous, upon the utterance of the word. Burke's outflings my Lord Stephen, given the cry, and a tag and bobtail of all, them after, Cockrell, Japanese, Welsher, Hill Doctor, punctual Bloom at heels with a universal grabbing at headgear, ash plants, bilboes, Panama hats and scabbards, Zermatt, alphonsocks and whatnot. A detail of lusty youth, noble every student there. Nurse Callan taken aback in the hallway, cannot stay with them, nor smiling surgeon coming downstairs with news of plant nation ended, a full pound if a milligram, They hark him on. The door, it is open. Ha! They are out tumultuously, all for a minute's race, all bravely legging it. Burks of damsel and halls their ulterior go. Dixon follows, giving them sharp language, but raps on, out an oath. He too and on. Bloom stays with him, with nurse, a thought to send a kind word to happy mother, and nursling up there. Doctor Diet and Doctor Quiet. Luke's, she too, not other now. Ward of watching in Horn's house has told his tale in that washed out parlour. Then, all being gone, a glance of mother wit helping, he whispers it close in going, Madam, when comes the starboard for thee? The air without is impregnated with rain-dew moisture, life essence celestial, glistening on Dublin's stone thereunder, star-shiny cronum. God's air, the All-Father's air, Cillian circumvents celestial air. Breathe its deep into thee. By heaven, Theodore Purefoy, thou hast done a doughy deed, and no botch. Thou art, I vow, the remarkablest progenitor, barring none in the shattering, all-including, and most fabulous chronicle. Astounding. In her lay a God-framed, God-given, performed possibility, which thou hast fruitified with thine modicum of man's work. Cleave to her, serve, toil on, labour like a very bandog, and let Scotland and all Massachusetts go hang. Thou art all their daddies, Theodore, art drooping under thy load, bemoiled with butcher's bills at home, and ingots, not thine, in the counting house. Head up, for every new begotten thou shalt gather thy homer of ripe wheat. See, thy fleece is drenched. Dost envy Darby Dulliman there with his Joan? A canting jay and rumen-eyed cursed dog is all their progeny. Wished I shall thee. He is a mule, a dead gastropod, without vim or stamina, nor worth a cracking culture. Copulation without population. No, say I. Herod slaughter of the innocents were the truer name. Vegetables, forsooth, and sterile cohabitation. Give her beefsteaks, red raw, bleeding. She is a hoary pandemonium of ills. Enlarged glands, mumps, quinsy, bunions, hay fever, bed sores, ringworm, floating kidney, Derbyshire neck, warts, virus attacks, gallstones, cold feet, varicose veins. A truce to these and Trentonals and Germany's and all such congenial defunctive music. 20 years of it, regret them not. With it was not as with many that will and would wait and never do. Thou sawest America, thy life task, and didn't charge to cover like the Tromspine Bision. How saith the Susurra? Thine kind tubus mixnings do, none shrinks due to Zeus milks dit enters. See, it displodes from thee in abundance. Drink man another full, mother's milk, pure foy, the milk of the human kin, milk too of those burgeoning stars overhead, rugilant in thin rain vapour, punch milk such as those rioters will quaff in the guzzling den, milk of madness, the honey milk of Canaan's land. Thy cow's dog was tough, what? Aye, but her milk is hot and sweet and fattening. No dollop this, but thick, rich bonny clad. To her old patriarch, Pap de papula de papilum nuncens billidum. All off for a Buster Armstrong hollering down the street. Bona fides, where do you sleep last night? Timothy of the battered naggin, like old Billio. Any boys or gumboots in the family, where the Henry Neville Sawbourne and old Clo. Sorrow one o' me knows. Hurry there, Dix, follow the ribbon counter. Where's Punch? All serene, Jay. Look at the drunken minister coming out of the maternity hospital. Benedict Victorius douche, pater et filius. A make, mister, the Denzil Lane boys, Hell Blassie, Scoot, right o Isaacs, shoving them out of the bleeding limelight. You join us, dear sir, no intrusion in life. Lou Heap, good man, Ali Sam this bunch, Invant me Esfans. Fire away, number 1 on the gun. Burke's thence they advanced 5 parsons. Slattery's mounted foot, where's that bleeding offer? Parson Steve, Apostles' Creed. No, Mulligan, a bath there. Shove ahead, keep a watch on the clock. Chucking out time, Mully, what's on you? Ma mère, ma Marie, British Beatitudes. Rampant dignity, boom, boom. Eyes have it. To be printed and bound at the Druid drum, pressed by 2 designing females. Calf covers of Obsidian green. Last word in art shades. Most beautiful book come out of Ireland my time. Silentum, get a sport on. Tension. Proceed to the nearest canteen and there annex liquor stores. March. Tramp, tramp, tramp the boys, our attitudes, parchy. Beer, beef, business, Bibles, bulldogs, battleships, buggery and bishops. Whether on the scaffold high, beer beef, trample the Bibles. When for Ireland ear, trample the tramplers. Thundertation, keep the durned military step. We fall. Bishop's boost box, halt, heave to, rubber, scrum in, no touch kicking. Wow, my tootsies, you hurt, most amazingly sorry. Query, who's a standing this here do? Proud professor of Damnum. Declare misery, bet to the ropes. Me Nance Salty, not a red at me this week gone. Yours, mead of our fathers for the Umsonson. Ditto. 5 number 1s, you sir, ginger cordial. Chase me, the clabbies called you. Stimulate the caliph, winding off his ticker. Stopping short, never to go again with when the old. Absence for me, Sabby. Caramba. Having an eggnog or fairy oyster. Enemy. Absence got my timepiece. 10-2. Obliterated awful. Don't mention it. Got a pectoral trauma. Headaches. Post fact. Got bet me a bumblebee whenever he was sleeping in his bit garden. Digs up near the master. Buckled he is. Know his Donna? Yup, certain I do. Full of adure. See her in her dish, Billy. Peels off a credit. Lovely lovekin. None of your lean kin, not much. Pull down the blind, love. 2 Aridons. Same here. Look slippery. If you fall, don't wait to get up. 5, 7, 9. Fine. Got a prime pair of mince pies, no kid. And her take me to rest and her anchor of rum. Must be seen to be believed. Your starring eyes and all be plastered neck, you stole my heart, O glupot sir. Sport down the rumourix, all poppycock, you excuse me saying, for the holly polly. I bear thee a beast a girt bull. Well, Doc, back from Lapland, your corposity stagnating, okay. How's the squawks and pooses? Woman body after going on the straw. Stand and deliver. Password, there's hair. Ours the white death and ruddy birth. Hi, spit in your own eyeballs. Mumur's wire. Cribbed out of Meredith. Jessified, orchestrated, comical Jesuit. Anti-minds writing package. Bad Stephen led astray goody good Malachi. Hooray! Collar the leather young gun. Round with the nappy. Here Jack Braw, Hentman's your barley brie. Lang me your lum rick and your kale pot boil. My tipple, mercy. Here's to us. How's that? Leg before wicket. Don't strain my brand new symptoms. Gives a shake of pepper you there. Catch a halt. Caraway seed to Caraway. twig, shrieks of silence. Every cove to his gentry mort, Venus Pandus, the petite femmes, bold bad girl from the town of Mullingar. Tell her I was axing at her, holding Sarah by the wain, on the road to Malahide. Me, if she who seduced me had left but her name. What do you want for ninepence? Marshy Marston, smutty mall for a mattress jig, and a pull together. X. Waiting governor most judiciously, bet your boots on. Stunned like seeing as how no sinners is a coming. Under constumple, he'd got the chink ad lib. Seed near free, pon on a spell ago, a said war history. Us come right in on your invite, see. Up to you, matey. Out with the oof. 2 bar and a wing. You yarn that go off their Frenchy bilks. Won't wash here for nuts no how. The child very solid. Il this the colour coon down our side. Garts through Charlie. We are near through. We're naif dafu. Our reservoir moose. Thanks you. 'Tis sure what say in the speakeasy. Tight. I see you sure. Bantam 2 days to tea. Browsing out for claret wine. Garnet, have a glint do. Gum I'm jiggered. And bean 2 barber we have. Too full for words. What a whale-weird bloke. How come you so? Upper he'd said, Rose of Castile. Rose of Cast. Please. Some hates too old for a gent fainted. Look at Bantam's flowers. Gemini, he's going to holler. The Colleen Bawn, my Colleen Bawn. Oh, cheese it. Shut his blurry Dutch oven with a firm hand. Had the winner today till I tipped him a dead cert. The rough and clay, the nab of Stephen Hand as give me the J.D. Coppeline. He strike a telegram boy paddock, wire big bus, do to big bass to the depot. Show him a joey anagram eyes. Mare on form, hot order. Guinea to a goose skull. Telecram that. Gospel true. Criminal diversion. I think that, yes. Sure thing. Land him in Cherokee. If the hard man back cop the game. Madden back a maddening back. O lust, our refuge and our strength. Decamping. Must you go? Off to mammy. Stand by. Hide my blushes someone. All in if he spots me. Come a home our bantman. Horror mong vuji. Dina forget the cowslips for herself. Corn fide. What gives ye than cult? Pal to pal. Jonock of John Thomas, her spouse. No fake old man Leo. Sell me honest Injun. Shiver my timbers if I had. There's a great big holy friar. River you no tell me. Well, yes, if I ain't a shindy nashes bell I will misha mention. Thou your Lord, amen. You move emotion. Steve boy, but you're going at some. More bloody drunkables. Will immensely splendiferous standard permit one studier of most extreme poverty and one large-side grandiose thirst to terminate one expensive inaugurated libation. Gives a breather. Landlord, landlord, have you good wines to brew? Hootsmon a wee drap to pray. Cut and come again. Right, Boniface, absent along. Non rus bumerus, victim toxicum, dilibus captivus, pastorius narcissa. Closing time, gents. Rome boost for the bloom top. I hear you say onions. Blue, cadges ads. Photos palpi by all that's gorgeous. Play low parder. Slay. Bonusher the campaign. And snares at the pox fiend. Where's the bucks and Amdy, stumped, leg bail. Ask where's your man gang your gates. Checkmate. King to tower. Kind Christian, will ye help young man who's find the bungalow, him to place where to lay crown of his head tonight? Crikey, I'm about sprung. Turn me dog gone my shins, is this been the bestest, purest long break yet? Item curate, couple of cookies for this child. Cots, blood and bandy pals none, not a pile of sheaves. Trust syphilis down to hell, and with them these other licensed spirits. Time, who wander through the world, health all, alla volta. Golly, what's tonking you this guy in the Macintosh? Dusty roads. Peep at his wearables. By mighty, what's he got? Jubilee mutton? Bovril by James. Wants it real bad. Can't bear socks. Seedy cuss in the Richmond. Raw there. Thought he'd had a deposit of lead in his penis. Thumpery insanity. Bartle the bread, we calls him. That, sir, was once a prosperous cit. Man all tattered and torn, that married a maiden all forlorn. Slung her hook she did. Here, see, love lost. Walking Macintosh of lonely cannon. Tuck and turn in. Schedule time. Nix for the hornies. Pardon. See him today at a ruin room. Charm o' yourn passed in his cheeks, in his checks. Ludamassy, poor pick canines. Thou no be telling me that whole veg. Did bubble big splash cry tears cause friend Paddy was took off in the black bag? Of all the darkies, Massa Pat was very best. I never see the like since I was born. Tens, but it was well sad, that my faith, yes. O get Rev on and Radiant 1 and 9. Live axle drives are souped. Lay you two in one gentry. Dixon ruddy well hollow. Japes, high angle fire in ye. Sunk by war specials. We worse for him, says he, nor any Ruskin. Time all, there's 11 of them. Get ye gone. Forward, woozy wobblers. Night, night. May Allah, the excellent one, your soul this night ever tremendously conserve. Your attention. We're near the foe. The lay police did mishandle us. The least the choice. Where hawks for the clap Putin. Unwell in his abdominal regionals. Uke, night. Mona, my true love. Uke, Mona, my own love. Uke. Heart, shut your octopus. Flap, flap, blaze on. There she goes. Brigade, bout ship, Mount Street away. Cut up, flap, tally ho. You not come, one skelter race, flap. Lynch, hey, sign on long o' me. Denzel Lane this way. Change here for Body House. We too, she said, will seek the kips where Shady Mary is. Righto, any old time. Labyrinths in Colubus Sus. You coming long? Whisper, who's the sooty hells, the Johnny in the black duds? Hoosh, sinned against the light, and even now that day is at hand when he shall come to judge the world by fire. Flap, Oost imreprint scriptor. Strike up a ballad. Then outspake Medical Dick to his comrade Medical Davy. Christus said, who's this excrement yellow gospeler on the Marian Hall? Elijah is coming, washed in the blood of the Lamb. Come on, you wine fizzling, gin sizzling, booze guzzling existences. Come on, you doggone, bull-necked, beetle-browed, hog-jowled, peanut-brained, weasel-eyed, four-flourishers, false alarms and excess baggage. Come on, you triple extract of infamity. Alexander J. Christ Derry, that's yanked to glory most half this planet from Frisco Beach to Vladivostok. Then dainty ain't no nickel-dime bum slow. I put it to you that he's on the square and a corking fine business proposition. He's the grandest thing yet, and don't you forget it. Shout salvation in King Jesus. You need to rise precious early, you sinner there, if you want to diddle the Almighty God. Flap, not half. He's got a cough mixture with a punch in it for you, my friend, in his back pocket. Just you try it on.
12 a.m. She turns and, holding out her hands, draws him over. The Mabbott Street entrance of Night Town, before which stretches an uncobbled tram siding set with skeleton tracks, red and green will-o'-the-wisps and danger signals. Rows of flimsy houses with gaping doors, rare lamps with faint rainbow fins. Round Rabiotti's halted ice gondola, stunted men and women squabble. They grab wafers between which are wedged lumps of coral and copper snow. Sucking, they scatter slowly. Children. The swan comb of the gondola, high-reared, forges on through the murk, white and blue under a lighthouse. Whistles call and answer. Wait, my love, and I'll be with you. Round behind the stable. A deaf-mute idiot with goggle eyes, his shapeless mouth dribbling, jerks past, shaken in St. Vitus dance. A chain of children's hands imprisons him. Kitto, salute! The idiot lifts a palsied left arm and gurgles, out! Where's the great light? Gagagast. They release him. He jerks on. A pygmy woman swings on a rope slung between the railings, counting. A form sprawled against a dustbin and muffled by its arm and hat moves, groans, grinding, growling teeth, and snores again. On a step, a gnome totting among a rubbish tip crouches to shoulder a sack of rags and bones. A crone standing by with a smoky oil lamp rams the last bottle in the maw of his sack. He heaves his booty, tugs askew his peaked cap, and hobbles off mutely. The crone makes back for her lair, swaying her lamp. A bandy child, asquat on the doorstep with a paper shuttlecock, crawls sidling after her in spurts, clutches her skirt, scrambles up. A drunken navvy grips with both hands the railings of an area, lurching heavily. At a comer, two night watch in shoulder capes, their hands upon their staff holsters, loom tall. A plate crashes, a woman screams, a child wails. Oaths of a man roar, mutter, cease. Figures wander, lurk, peer from warrens. In a room lit by a candle stuck in a bottleneck, a slut combs out the tats from the hair of a scrofulous child. Cissy Caffrey's voice, still young, sings shrill from a lane. I gave it to Molly because she was jolly, the leg of the duck, the leg of the duck. Private Carr and Private Compton, swagger sticks tight in their oxters as they march unsteadily right about face and burst together from their mouths a volleyed fart. Laughter of men from the lane. A hoarse virago retorts. Signs on you, hairy arse. More power, the Cavan girl. Cissy Caffrey. More luck to me, Cavan, Coot Hill and Belturbet. I gave it to Nelly to stick in her belly, the leg of the duck, the leg of the duck. Private Carr and Private Compton turn and counter-retort, their tunics blood bright in a lamp glow, black sockets of caps on their blonde cropped poles. Stephen Dedalus and Lynch pass through the crowd, close to the redcoats. Private Compton jerks his finger. Way for the parson! Private Carr turns and calls, What ho, parson? Cissy Caffrey, her voice soaring higher. She has it, she got it, wherever she put it, the leg of the duck. Stephen, flourishing the ash plant in his left hand, chants with joy the introit for Paschal time. Lynch, his jockey cap low on his brow, attends him, a sneer of discontent wrinkling his face. Stephen. Vide aquam egredientem de templo alatere dextera. Alleluia. The famished snaggle tusks of an elderly bawd protrude from a doorway. The bawd, her voice whispering huskily. St, come here till I tell you. Maidenhead inside. St. Stephen, Altius aliquacantum. Et omnes ad quos pervenit aqua ista. The bod spits in their trail her jet of venom. Trinity medicals, fallopian tube, all prick and no pence. Edie Boardman, sniffling, crouched with Berna supple, draws her shawl across her nostrils. And says the one, I seen you up Faithful Place with your square pusher, the greaser off the railway in his come-to-bed hat. Did you, says I. That's not for you to say, says I. You never seen me in the man-trap with a married Highlander, says I. The likes of her. Stag, that one is, stubborn as a mule, and her walking with two fellas the one time, Kilbride the engine driver and Lance Corporal Oliphant. Stephen triumphator. Salvi facti sunt. He flourishes his ash plant shivering the lamp image, shattering light over the world. A liver and white spaniel on the prowl slinks after him growling. Lynch scares it with a kick. Lynch. So that, Stephen looks behind. So that gesture, not music, not odours, would be a universal language, the gift of tongues, rendering visible not the lay sense, but the first entelechy, the structural rhythm. Lynch. Pornosophical philotheology, metaphysics in Mecklenburg Street. Stephen. We have shrew-ridden Shakespeare and hen-picked Socrates. Even the all-wisest stage right was bitted, bridled, and mounted by a light of love. Lynch. Bah. Stephen. Anyway, who wants two gestures to illustrate a loaf and a jug? The movement illustrates the loaf and jug of bread and wine in Omar. Hold my stick. Lynch. Damn your yellow stick. Where are we going? Stephen. Lecherous links. To la belle dame sans merci. Georgina Johnson. Ad deum qui letificat juventutem meum. Stephen thrusts the ash plant on him and slowly holds out his hands, his head going back till both hands are a span from his breast, down-turned in planes intersecting, the fingers about to part, the left being higher. Lynch. Which is the jug of bread? It skills not, that or the custom house. Illustrate thou. Here, take your crutch and walk. They pass. Tommy Caffrey scrambles to a gas lamp and, clasping, climbs in spasms. From the top spur, he slides down. Jackie Caffrey clasps to pine. The navvy lurches against the lamp. The twins scuttle off in the dark. The navvy, swaying, presses a forefinger against a wing of his nose and ejects from the farther nostril a long, liquid jet of snot. Shouldering the lamp, he staggers away through the crowd with his flaring cresset. Snakes of river fog creep slowly. From drains, clefts, cesspools, middens, arise on all sides stagnant fumes. A glow leaps in the south beyond the seaward reaches of the river. The navvy, staggering forward, cleaves the crowd and lurches towards the tram siding. On the farther side, under the railway bridge, Bloom appears, flushed, panting, cramming bread and chocolate into a side pocket. From Gillen's hairdresser's window, a composite portrait shows him gallant Nelson's image. A concave mirror at the side presents to him love-lorn, long-lost Lugubru Bulubum. Grave Gladstone sees him level, bloom for bloom. He passes, struck by the stare of truculent Wellington, but in the convex mirror, grin unstruck the bonham eyes and fat cheek chops of Jolly Poldy, the Rick Sticks Doubleday. At Antonio Rabiotti's door, Bloom halts, sweated under the bright arc lamps. He disappears. In a moment he reappears and hurries on. Fish and taters? Nyah. He disappears into Allhausen's, the pork butcher's, under the down-coming roll shutter. A few moments later he emerges from under the shutter, puffing Poldy, blowing Bloom Bloom. In each hand he holds a parcel, one containing a lukewarm pig's crubine, the other a cold sheep's trotter sprinkled with whole pepper. He gasps, standing upright. Then, bending to one side, he presses a parcel against his ribs and groans, "Oh, stitch in my side, why did I run?" He takes breath with care and goes forward slowly towards the lamppost siding. The glow leaps again. What is that? A flasher? Searchlight? He stands at Cormac's corner watching. Aurora Borealis or a steel foundry. Ah, The brigade, of course. South side, anyhow. Big blaze. Might be his house. Beggar's bush. We're safe. He hums cheerfully. London's burning, London's burning. On fire, on fire. He catches sight of the navvy lurching through the crowd at the further side of Talbot Street. I'll miss him. Run, quick, better cross here. He darts to cross the road. Urchins shout, "Mind out, mister!" Two cyclists with lighted paper lanterns a-swing swim by him, grazing him, their bells rattling. Yelp, 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 yelp. Halts erect, stung by a spasm. Ah! He looks round, darts forward suddenly through rising fog. A dragon sand strewer, travelling at caution, slews heavily down upon him, its huge red headlight winking, its trolley hissing on the wire. The motorman bangs his foot gong. Bang, bang, blah, black, blood, blub, blue. The brake cracks violently. Bloom, raising a policeman's white-gloved hand, blunders stiff-legged out of the track. The motorman, thrown forward, pug-nosed on the guide wheel, yells as he slides past over chains and keys. "Hey, shitbritches, are you doing the hat trick?" Bloom a trick leaps to the curbstone and halts again. He brushes a mud flake from his cheek with a parcelled hand. No thoroughfare, close shave that, but to cure the stitch, must take up Sandow's exerciser again, on the hands down, insure against street accident too, the providential. He feels his trouser pocket, poor mamma's panacea. He'll easily catch in track or bootlace in a cog. Day the wheel of the Black Maria peeled off my shoe at Leonard's corner. Third time is the charm, shoe trick. Insolent driver, I ought to report him. Tension makes them nervous. Might be the fellow balked me this morning with that horsey woman. Same style of beauty, quick of them all the same. The stiff walk, true words spoken in jest, that awful cramp in Lad Lane. Something poisonous I ate? Emblem of luck? Why, probably lost cattle. Mark of the beast. He closes his eyes an instant. Bit light in the head, monthly or effect of the other, brain fog fag, that tired feeling, too much for me now. Ah! A sinister figure leans on plaited legs against O'Byrne's wall, a visage unknown injected with dark mercury. From under a wide-leaved sombrero, the figure regards him with evil eye. Buenas noches, señorita Blanca. ¿Qué calle es esta? The figure, impassive, raises a signal arm. Password, Srajmabat. Ha ha, merci. Esperanto, slan that. Gaelic League spy sent by that fire-eater. He steps forward. A sack-shouldered ragman bars his path. He steps left, ragsack man left. Bloom said, "I beg." He swerves, sidles, step aside, slips past and on. Keep to the right, right, right. If there is a finger post planted by the touring club at step aside, who procured that public boon? I, who lost my way and contributed to the columns of the Irish Cyclist, the letter headed in darkest step aside. Keep to the right. Rags and bones at midnight? Offence more likely. First place murderer makes for, wash off his sins of the world. Jackie Caffrey, hunted by Tommy Caffrey, runs full tilt against Bloom. Oh! Shocked, on weak hams, he halts. Tommy and Jackie vanish. There. Bloom pats with parcelled hands. Watch, fob pocket, book pocket, purse poke, sweets of sin, potato soup. Beware of pickpockets. Old thieves dodge, collide, then snatch your purse. The retriever approaches, sniffling, nose to the ground. A sprawled form sneezes. A stooped, bearded figure appears garbed in the long kaftan of an elder in Zion and a smoking cap with magenta tassels. Horn spectacles hang down at the wings of the nose. Yellow poison streaks are on the drawn face. Rudolph. Second half-crown waste money today. I told you not to go with drunken goy ever. So, you catch no money. Bloom hides the crubeen and trotter behind his back, and crestfallen feels warm and cold feet meet. Ja, ich weiß, Papachi. Rudolph, what you making down this place? Have you no soul? With feeble vulture talons, he feels the silent face of Bloom. Are you not my son Leopold, the grandson of Leopold? Are you not my dear son Leopold, who left the house of his father and left the God of his fathers, Abraham and Jacob? Bloom, with precaution. I suppose so, father. Mosenthal, all that's left of him. Rudolph, severely. One night they bring you home drunk as dog after spend your good money. What you call them running chaps? Bloom, in youth's smart blue Oxford suit with white vest slips, narrow-shouldered in brown alpine hat, wearing gents' sterling silver Waterbury keyless watch and double curb Albert with seal attached, one side of him coated with stiffening mud. Harrier's father, only that once. Rudolph, once. Mud, head to foot, cut your hand open, lockjaw, they make you kaput, Leopoldleben. You watch them chaps. Bloom, weak. They challenged me to a sprint. It was muddy. I slipped. Rudolph, with contempt. Going natches. Nice spectacles for your poor mother. Bloom, Mama! Ellen Bloom, in pantomime dame's stringed mob cap, crinoline and bustle, Widow Twankey's blouse with mutton leg sleeves buttoned behind, grey mittens and cameo brooch, her hair plaited in a crispine net, appears over the staircase banisters, a slanted candlestick in her hand, and cries out in shrill alarm, "Oh, blessed Redeemer, what have they done to him? My smelling salts!" She holds up a wreath of skirt and ransacks the pouch of her striped blay petticoat. A file, an Agnus Dei, a shriveled potato and a celluloid dog fall out. Sacred Heart of Mary, where were you at all? Bloom, mumbling, his eyes downcast, begins to bestow his parcels in his filled pockets, but desists, muttering. A voice, sharply. Poldy? Bloom. Who? He ducks and wards off a blow clumsily. At your service? He looks up. Beside her mirage of date palms, a handsome woman in Turkish costume stands before him. Opulent curves fill out her scarlet trousers and jacket, slashed with gold. A wide yellow cummerbund girdles her. A white yashmak violet in the night covers her face, leaving free only her large dark eyes and raven hair. Molly! Marion. Well, Mrs. Marion from this out, my dear man, when you speak to me. Has poor little hubby cold feet waiting so long? Bloom shifts from foot to foot. No, not the least little bit. He breathes in deep agitation, swallowing gulps of air. Question, hopes, crubines for her supper, things to tell her, excuse, desire, spellbound. A coin gleams on her forehead. On her feet are jeweled toe rings. Her ankles are linked by a slender fetter chain. Beside her, a camel, hooded with a turreting turban, waits. A silk ladder of innumerable rungs climbs to his bobbing howdah. He ambles near with disgruntled hindquarters. Fiercely she slaps his haunch, her gold-curb wrist bangles angrily, scolding him in Moorish, Nabracada feminin. The camel, lifting a foreleg, plucks from a tree a large mango fruit, offers it to his mistress, blinking. In his cloven hoof, then droops his head and, grunting with uplifted neck, fumbles to kneel. Bloom stoops his back for deep frog. Bloom, I can give you, I mean as your business manager, Mrs. Marion, if you... Marion, so, you notice some change. Her hands passing slowly over her trinketed stomacher, a slow, friendly mockery in her eyes. Oh, Poldy, Poldy, you are a poor old stick in the mud. Go and see life. See the wide world. Bloom, I was just going back for that lotion, white wax, orange flower water. Shop closes early on Thursday, but the first thing in the morning, He pats Diver's pocket. This moving kidney, ah. He points to the north, then to the east. A cake of new, clean lemon soap arises, diffusing light and perfume. The soap speaks. We're a capital couple, our Bloom and I. He brightens the earth, I polish the sky. The freckled face of Sweeney, the druggist, appears in the disk of the soap sun. Sweeney. 3 and a penny, please. Bloom. Yes, for my wife, Mrs. Marion, special recipe. Marion. Poldy. Bloom. Yes, ma'am. Marion. Ti trema un poco il cuore? In disdain she saunters away, plump as a pampered pouter pigeon, humming the duet from Don Giovanni. Bloom. Are you sure about that voglio? I mean the pronunciation. He follows, followed by the sniffing terrier. The elderly bawd seizes his sleeve, the bristles of her chin mole glittering. The bawd. 10 shillings a maidenhead. Fresh thing, was never touched. 15. There's no one in it, only her old father that's dead drunk. She points. In the gap of her dark den, furtive, rain-bedraggled, Bridie Kelly stands. Bridie. Hatch Street. Any good in your mind? With a squeak she flaps her back shawl and runs. A burly rough pursues with booted strides. He stumbles on the steps, recovers, plunges into gloom. Weak squeaks of laughter are heard. Weaker. The bawd. Her wolf eyes shining. He's getting his pleasure. You won't get a virgin in the flash houses. 10 shillings. Don't be all night before the police in plain clothes sees us. 67 is a bitch. Leering, Gertie MacDowell limps forward. She draws from behind, ogling, and shows coyly her bloodied clout. Gertie. With all my worldly goods, I thee and thou. You did that. I hate you. Bloom. I? When? You're dreaming. I never saw you. The bawd. Leave the gentleman alone, you cheat. Writing the gentleman false letters, street walking and soliciting. Better for your mother take a strap to you at the bedpost, hussy like you. Gertie. When you saw all the secrets of my bottom drawer, she pulls his sleeve, slobbering. Dirty married man. I love you for doing that to me. She glides away crookedly. Mrs. Breen, in man's frieze overcoat with loose bellows pockets, stands in the causeway, her roguish eyes wide open, smiling in all her herbivorous buck teeth. Mrs. Breen. Mr. Bloom. Madam, when we last had this pleasure by letter dated the 16th instant, Mrs. Breen. Mr. Bloom, you down here in the haunts of sin. I caught you nicely, scamp. Bloom, hurriedly. Not so loud, my name. Whatever do you think of me? Don't give me away. Walls have ears. How do you do? It's ages since you're looking splendid. Absolutely it. Seasonable weather we're having this time of year. Black refracts heat. Shortcut home here. Interesting quarter. Rescue of fallen women. Magdalen Asylum. I am the secretary. Mrs. Breen holds up a finger. No, don't tell a big fib. I know somebody won't like that. Oh, just wait till I see Molly. Account for yourself this very minute, or woe betide you. Bloom looks behind. She often said she'd like to visit slumming, the exotic, you see. Negro servants in livery, too, if she had money. Othello, Black Brute, Eugene Stratton, even the Bones and Cornerman at the Livermore Christie's. Bohee brothers, Sweep for that matter. Tom and Sam Bohee, coloured coons in white duck suits, scarlet socks, upstarched sambo chokers, and large scarlet asters in their buttonholes, leap out. Each has his banjo slung. Their paler, smaller, negroid hands jingle the twing-twang wires. Flashing white Kaffir eyes and tusks, they rattle through a breakdown in clumsy claws, twinging, singing, back to back, toe, heel, heel, toe, with smack, fat, clacking nigger lips. There's someone in the house with Dinah. There's someone in the house, I know. There's someone in the house with Dinah playing on the old banjo. They whisked black masks from raw babby faces, then chuckling, chortling, trumming, twanging, they diddle-diddle cakewalk dance away. Bloom, with a sour, tenderish smile. A little frivol, shall we, if you are so inclined? Would you like me, perhaps, to embrace you just for a fraction of a second? Mrs. Breen. Oh, you rock! You ought to see yourself. Bloom. For old sake's sake, I only meant a square party, a mixed marriage mingling of our different little conjugals. You know I had a soft corner for you. 'Twas I sent you that valentine of the dear gazelle. Mrs. Breen. Glory, Alice, you do look a holy show. Killing, simply. She put out her hand inquisitively. What are you hiding behind your back? Tell us, there's a dear. Bloom seizes her wrist with his free hand. Josie Powell that was, prettiest dab in Dublin. How time flies. Do you remember, harking back in a retrospective arrangement, old Christmas night, Georgina Simpson's housewarming, while they were playing the Irving Bishop game, finding the pin blindfold and thought reading? Subject, what is in this snuff box? Mrs. Breen. You were the lion of the night with your serio-comic recitation, and you looked the part. You were always a favourite with the ladies. Bloom. Squire of dames, in dinner jacket with watered silk facings, blue Masonic badge in his buttonhole, black bow and mother-of-pearl studs, a prismatic champagne glass tilted in his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ireland, home and beauty. Mrs. Breen. The dear, dead days beyond recall. Love's old, sweet song. Bloom, meaningfully dropping his voice. I confess I'm teapot with curiosity to find out whether some person something is a little teapot at present.